Have you ever heard of the god who rose from nothing? I most haven't. His name's been swallowed by time and pride alike. But once, long ago, before the gold took root in every soul, there walked a man with nothing, no kin, no creed. Only hunger and will. They say he found power where the world was weakest, where light dared not look, and even death forgot to follow. And with that power, he built himself anew, stone by stone, scar by scar, until he was more than mortal, a wizard, a maker, a god. But even gods fade, traveler, especially the ones who remember being human. So listen close while the fire still burns. I'll tell you how it began. How a man from nothing reached for eternity, and what he found waiting there. The wind tore across the remnants of Vaerun's village, carrying the acrid stench of burnt timber and mud-drenched straw. Smoke curled from the shattered hearths of huts that had once clung stubbornly to the edge of Limgrave's fog-laden plains. Few remained here. Those who hadn't fled the rot or marauding beast had succumbed to hunger, or worse. Vaerun moved silently among the ruins, his threadbare cloak soaked from the mist. He did not mourn the village. It had offered nothing but cold nights and hunger. Each step squelched in the waterlogged earth, the reeds whispering secrets of decay and desolation. The tower in the distance, a skeletal shard of stone piercing the fog, had collapsed long ago. Yet Vaerun's heart thrummed at the thought of it. Rumors said a sorcerer had sought to bind the sky itself, and though no magic lingered, the whispers in bones and stones were enough to stir curiosity. He crouched beside a hollowed tree, listening. Somewhere in the distance, a creature moaned, a thing of bone and shadow, its cries both terrible and alluring. Hunger clawed at him, but curiosity gnawed harder. Years of scavenging had taught him that fear could be studied like any other phenomenon. It could be understood, circumvented, even exploited. Vaerun's hands were calloused, scarred from years of laboring in fields that no longer grew crops. His stomach growled, but his eyes were sharp, and his mind sharper. He had learned to survive where the others had perished, not through strength, but through patience and cunning. The first encounter came sooner than he expected. A rustling among the reeds, subtle but deliberate. Vaerun froze. The creature emerged, a grotesque thing, bones protruding at impossible angles, eyes glowing with a pale, sickly light. Its gaze met his, and instinct screamed at him to run, but he did not. He had learned that the world rewarded observation, not impulse. Slowly, he rose, dragging a jagged shard of glass from his pack. Its edge was dull, but it would serve as a distraction. The creature's head swiveled unnaturally, sensing, hunting. Vaerun's mind raced. He needed to survive, but he also needed to understand. He threw the shard. It clattered across the reeds, sparks of reflected moonlight drawing the creature's attention. The moment it lunged, Vaerun ducked, rolled, and vanished into the mist. The creature's cries echoed, fading into the distance. He exhaled, shaking. Fear, he realized, was not weakness. It was a tool. By dawn, Vaerun had returned to the village's ruins, the fog thick and heavy. Amid the ash and mud, something gleamed faintly, a small crystal etched with runes, pulsing softly under his touch. He had no name for it, nor any understanding of its purpose, yet it felt alive, responsive. The air thickened as he held it, each breath heavy with the tang of latent power. Tentatively, he raised his hand. Shadows quivered along the edges of vision, whispering unintelligible words. Vaerun's heart pounded. Could it be magic? The concept was distant, almost myth, yet undeniable in its effect. He tested it. Small sparks leapt from the crystal, illuminating the mist. He recoiled as the shadows flinched, and the whispers became murmurs, almost human. Hours passed in experimentation. He discovered that the shard responded to intent, to thought. The light pulsed with his heartbeat, and the shadows bent to his will. Subtle, but unmistakable. Vaerun's mind reeled. Power, he realized, was not given. It was taken, understood, and nurtured. Night descended again, and with it the danger of Limgrave's wilderness. The shard's awakening had not gone unnoticed. From the edge of the fog, movement stirred. Another creature, or perhaps more than one, approached, drawn by the pulse of magic. Vaerun's pulse quickened, but he did not panic. He had survived hunger, beasts, and desolation. This would be no different. He raised the shard. The shadows responded instinctively, coiling and flaring like living smoke. When the first creature lunged, Vaerun directed the shadow with a thought. It struck the beast, sending it reeling back into the fog with a shriek that pierced the night. Another followed, and another. Each repelled, confused, terrified by forces they did not comprehend. Vaerun's own fear burned away, replaced by exhilaration, the raw thrill of survival sharpened by newfound power. When the night finally gave way to dawn, the forest was silent again. Vaerun stood alone, clutching the shard. Sweat and mud streaked across his face. He realized the truth. This was no mere trinket. It was a key, a doorway, a spark capable of transforming a nothing into something extraordinary. He had glimpsed the edge of destiny, and it called to him. He sat among the ruins, staring at the distant tower, the morning fog curling around the broken spires. Limgrave had given him nothing, and yet it had prepared him. Hunger and death, fear and solitude. They had sharpened his mind, hardened his will, and now, at last, opened the door to power. Vaerun rose, straightened his cloak, and looked to the horizon. Beyond the marshes, beyond the ruins, lay the world, vast, untamed, and ripe with secrets. He did not yet know what he would become, nor the cost of the journey ahead, but he knew this: he would not die, forgotten in the ashes. The shard pulsed in his hand, whispering of ancient places, forgotten knowledge, and the distant touch of divinity. Vaerun's lips curled into a faint, grim smile. He was no longer merely a boy from Limgrave. He was the beginning of something greater. With that, he stepped forward, leaving the village behind. The fog swallowed him, the world awaited, and the first chapter of his rise had begun. Now, weary traveler, I offer you respite here by my fire, and tell you of tales old and rich in lore. But now, we must part ways, for the moment at least. I will see you again, if fates will it.